and gentlemen, welcome to the Downtime Show with your host, Robert Jackson.
This must be the place. Welcome back to Downtime. I'm your host, Robert Jackson, your guide, your sage. You can trust me and you can count on me for the next 30 minutes or so while we zigzag. Excuse me, I can't say zigzag. While we move alternately back and forth between intros, guests, music, and performances. Okay, you may not think we're off to a great start, so if you DVR'd today's episode, you may want to fast forward until we bring out our first guest. Now, I know you guys are curious about the name of the show, Downtime. Well, there's a mission, a philosophy behind the name Downtime, and you need look no further than the dictionary. So the definition of downtime, I got it right here. The definition of downtime is tyrannized over, oppressed, trampled on, treated badly by people in power. What the heck? Oh, wait a minute. That's downtrodden. Okay, here we go. Downtime on this side. So downtime is inactive time, okay, such as time between periods of work. So we're here thinking about all of you. Now, we don't ask too much, okay? That's why we call the show Downtime. We just ask that you be, like I said, inactive. We believe in being inactive here at Downtime. Now, I know there's a big push to get everybody active, get people moving. They're trying to kick that butt of yours, and I say, let's stop the madness. They want you to sign up for runs, for walks, in the mud, in the foam, in the dark, in the morning, 5Ks, 10Ks, Mary Kay. Whatever happened to relaxation, huh? When you watch our show, you don't need to wear a headband. You don't need to wear a visor or all these fluorescent clothes while you watch our show. And I'm even hearing sprained ankles are on the rise. Prescriptions for asthma inhalers are through the roof. You're not going to sprain no ankles watching this show, trust me. If you haven't noticed, I'm the only one that seems to be getting hurt around here. Now, we've got a great show. We have Dr. Martinez is going to be here, along with a wonderful powwow dancer, a young lady named Renae Blackwater. So we are all set, and we're going to bring up our co-host here very shortly. But I want to turn it over briefly to our band. Of course, I'm talking about the Downtime Band. Do that thing. It, man, these guys did it again. I tell you, every time I turn around, they're doing something extraordinary. Downtime Band, you guys are on the money today. Now, of course, it's not just me. One of these chairs is going to be occupied by this gentleman. I'm going to say his name, and you guys are either going to like it or not. How about it for Mr. Claude Jackson? Okay, you want to take a minute?
You were talking about relaxation, and I kind of went with it.
No, I think that was a little. Usually I'm like, slow it down or whatever, but this time I'm like, speed it up because.
There's no, you know what? There's no pleasing you.
Because you went a little bit overboard with the slow-mo. Or was it the camera? Did you guys figure that that was a special effect?
Just speed me up.
Okay, yeah. The band was at a one tempo, and then you just kind of took it like into a sand trap or something. All right, so Claude, all that stuff set aside, you're looking pretty good. I haven't seen you in a while. What's been going on in the world of Claude Jackson?
Well, I've been doing the family thing, the dad thing. Middle child, Caleb, he's going to be starting high school pretty soon.
Caleb, wasn't he just like in like 5th grade, 6th grade?
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Oh, shoot.
So they add on a 6th grade, a 7th grade, and 8th grade.
Oh my goodness.
And then now, so he's going to start high school. So I took him to like an orientation.
Little Caleb, orientation for high school.
Yeah, and it was, you know what, he really didn't care. He was just like, whatever. It brought back memories to high school days because I was just like, I don't know, maybe I've been traumatized, but I was like, holy.
Wow, you really had to jog your memory because that was a long time ago.
Oh yeah, it was, you know, we just had books. We didn't have computers and emails.
Tablets. Did you have a tablet in 1980?
No, I couldn't even afford a trapper keeper, you know? So,
okay.
So yeah, but it was it was just weird to be back in that environment. Although they had some cool little like clubs. They had a gamers club.
A gamers club?
Yeah, that they're recruiting students.
What's going on with today's new age?
Yeah. It was they were just there playing their video games. So good for them. I'm not gonna question it. I think Bob Dylan said, if you don't understand it, just get out of the way.
So you graduated in 1990?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I know some of our audience that predates them.
Yeah.
by several years, and I think some of our guests too weren't even around when you graduated. And so you're 1990. I was 1999. Class of 1999 now. I would like to say I graduated from the school that I started from, but I had a little hiccup, if you could say that, and I think you had to change schools too?
I hicked up lots and lots of times. So yeah, we were that generation of multiple high schools.
Yeah, we started off at the good school, and then we went to the school that was like Plan B, Plan C.
Yeah.
But speaking of schools, we have one of, I think, the individuals in the community that has an interesting take on education.
Oh yeah.
Dr. David Martinez, professor at Arizona State University. Now you want to talk about schools, that's the one that we really embrace, being former Sun Devils.
I loved ASU. It took me 8 years to get a 4-year degree, and I enjoyed every minute
You really
of
took
it.
your time.
Yeah.
I think I had you beat by one semester. It took me a little bit longer.
Yeah.
See, but I had to actually drop out. Claudia went to school straight, so I had, again, a few little speed bumps. But either way, I think that's the beauty of ASU, right? You could just go and go and go until...
Hey, the speed bumps of universities.
Yeah, so we really like representing Arizona State University. What about the band? You guys are any ASU fans over here? No?
Oh.
So, okay, we got this guy stirring up.
Whoa.
Now, I thought we vetted this band as far as ASU U of A goes. I know there's a rivalry, so.
Yeah.
But either way, man, we're looking pretty good because not only do we have Dr. David Martinez, but we have a wonderful young lady. We got to meet her earlier, Renae Blackwater. She's a powwow dancer, fancy shawl. So she's going to give us a really nice portion of the show that we're all going to enjoy. Okay, so we're going to take a short break, and we're going to bring up Dr. David Martinez. So we got, man, just the best show you can imagine here for you guys at Downtime. So everybody out there in GRBC land, you sit still, don't go nowhere. We're going to be right back. Downtime band, do that thing. Welcome back to Downtime. Thanks again to the Downtime band for playing us back in with that wonderful number. Now let's welcome our first guest. He's a professor at Arizona State University, a fine gentleman. This guy's intelligent, he's engaging. We're gonna have a terrific conversation with Dr. David Martinez. Dr. Martinez, now, I don't think I ever took your class, but
I don't believe so.
I heard you're a pretty good professor. If someone turns in their homework late, what happens? Do you tell them, no, you're going to get a 0, or do you work with them and maybe they could turn it in a little late?
Well, I always give my students the opportunity to redeem themselves.
Okay. Ooh,
and so as long as they produce the work that I expect of them, I'll give them an even break.
Okay.
Ooh, you heard it here. Procrastination is accepted.
Yeah, so if anybody's still trying to enroll or looking for classes, it sounds like this guy is going to be your best bet. Okay, so Dr. David Martinez, so tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a GRIC member, and then a little bit about who this David Martinez was before he became a doctor.
Well, I was born here in Phoenix at the First Presbyterian Hospital. I'm old enough where PIMC didn't exist yet. It was built a few short years later. I give a lot of them through my mother. My father is Mexicano from Big Spring, Texas. My grandfather was the Reverend Simon Lewis, who was the pastor at the First Presbyterian Church in Gila Crossing for some 40 years. He was married to a lovely woman named Margaret. It's through my maternal grandmother that I'm also Hyachet of them. And so I grew up in Pomona, California, which is just outside of LA. My mom was part of the relocation generation.
Oh, man.
And I do want to mention that my mom is a movie star. She had a small role in a film called The Exiles, which came out in the early 60s.
Oh, are you serious? Okay. And just briefly, really quick, so that movie was about some of the natives that were living in town?
It was a docudrama. All of the actors, as many of you know, were regular Native people living the urban Indian lifestyle in late 1950s Los Angeles in the Bunker Hill neighborhood, where my mom had an apartment. She was best friends with the lead actress in that movie, and so that's how she got the part.
That sounds incredible stuff. You just never know, like when a guest comes on, some of their interesting things in their family history. So your introduction into education, when did you realize that you wanted to be a teacher, and where were some of the places you studied?
I realized that I wanted to become a teacher, or rather more specifically a scholar, very early in life when I was in high school. I was one of these classically nerdy kids who read a lot.
Whoa, no, you?
Man.
I'm not buying this. Wow. Come on, you heard it here, folks. Come on, I never would have guessed it. Okay, so you're into your books, you're into your studies, and then what happens?
Well, I start to discover that I have a talent for thinking about scholarly topics like history and politics and culture and literature, in addition to which I also enjoy writing a lot. And I think that was critical in my development, because it's in discovering your voice as a writer that you start to realize your self-worth.
I see.
Just by virtue of being able to get your own thoughts and ideas down on paper.
Well, because we could use a writer here at the show. I don't know if you're any experience in comedy, but I think what you're touching on is some important things, and it's probably hard to tell that to like a guidance counselor or something, and say, look, I got all these interests, I've been thinking about a lot about literature and culture. How can I translate that into a career? Sure. And it looks like being a professor really worked out for you.
It did. It was a practical application of the things that I enjoy. And I would learn later in life, as I actually developed my career in academia, that it was also of great value to the students that entered my class, especially my Native students, who often were feeling pretty alone and uncertain about themselves.
You know what? That's a real thing, because I know that if you get transplanted from, like, say, a reservation setting, and you're into this bustling metropolis called Phoenix, metro area with Tempe and all that stuff, as far as ASU goes, and then they look up and they see someone like you that might have a similar background. So you graduated from what school? You went to Rhode Island, if I remember right?
I completed my undergraduate degree in philosophy at the University of Rhode Island.
Philosophy.
I got my PhD in the same field from the State University of New York at Stony Brook, which is on Long Island. Okay. In between, I have a master's in American Indian Studies from the University of Arizona.
Okay, well, that beats my associates and Bachelor of Fine Art. So we're going to take a short break, and we got some interesting questions we want to talk to Dr. David Martinez about, particularly some of his work at ASU and some of the things that are going on in education as it relates to some of those Native American students. So we're going to be right back. We're going to take a short break, and don't go nowhere, because we're going to be with Dr. David Martinez. And we're back with Dr. David Martinez, along with my co-host, Mr. Claude Jackson. So, Doctor, what do you teach at ASU? What kind of courses can a student expect if they see you up there at the podium?
Well, I'm in the American Indian Studies program, and most of our courses are driven by federal Indian law and policy, along with a lot of history. Mostly I teach courses in American Indian intellectual history, teaching our young people about all of the Indian writers and activists that have had a huge impact on our community going back generations. I also teach the history of Indian rights and movements, and so my students get an introduction to the role of protest.
Really?
In the development of Indian affairs.
Oh my goodness! And I'm going to let my brother jump in, but really quickly, if you look at the numbers for Native Americans in education, it seems like we always end up at the bottom of the list. So, from your point of view, you know how smart these kids are, but why is it so disproportionate?
Well, I suppose it has a lot to do with getting the word out to more of our young people that there is a place for them in the university setting. A lot of kids are unaware that there are even such things as Native professors, that there are courses devoted to their culture and history and politics. And, just assuring them that there's a place for who they are as they are, that they don't have to be something different or special or, something that they can't attain.
I find that also the expectation of the communities, the tribal communities, should be raised, because back in the day it was like, hey, I want you to get that high school diploma. And maybe we've gone to like, hey, I want you to get that college degree.
Let's raise the bar.
And now it's like, get that post-college degree, keep moving up. I think we really should look in building the expectations of the community is probably something as well.
Oh, absolutely. I've always been of the opinion that one thing that more of our young people should be aware of is the fact that in every tribal community, including our own, that there are, generations of college graduates.
Yes.
And that going to college, going to grad school, going to a professional program like law and medicine, that's part of our community traditions. And we need to be more assertive that these are part of our traditions as well. And don't underestimate, speaking of raising the bar, don't ever underestimate the importance of expressing to a kid that you believe in them, that you have a dream for them, that they can attain something really high. Just hearing your parents say that, hearing an aunt and uncle say that, hearing a teacher say that, I believe in you, you're smart, you can do this, I'm gonna help you out. That makes a world of difference. I've taught a lot of kids who in their whole lives, nobody ever told them that they were smart. And that's devastating.
Yeah. Well, we can see that, it's not gonna change overnight, but little by little, you've probably noticed a big progression from when you started out as a grad student. Now you're on the other side, teaching them. So there has to be some progress there, wouldn't you say?
Oh, indeed. I don't think that the Indian population entering into higher education is considered to be as abnormal or risky as it once was. Once upon a time, sending your kids to school was considered some kind of sacrifice.
Yeah, because
in a literal sense.
You mentioned this relocation of your family.
Right.
That sounds like a big topic, as far as Native American history goes, that a lot of people don't know about.
Yes, because I think that the program, like you mentioned, the teaching about protest, about these activists, which is all obviously a reaction to federal programs, federal initiatives. Can you just lay that out, especially like from maybe post-World War II on to today, and what kind of climate are we in today?
Well, in many ways, insofar as history comes full circle, I would say that where Indian nations were after World War II or into the 1950s is where we're at again, which is confronting the threat of termination. Back in the day, back in my mom's day, the U.S. Congress and the U.S. President wanted to terminate tribal governments, and they wanted to terminate their trust relationship.
What do you mean by the term terminate?
To categorically do away with treaties, to categorically do away with all of the laws and policies that have been maintaining the relationship between tribes and the federal government.
That sounds like a bad deal.
It is a bad deal. It's a horrendous deal. And basically, the objective was to force Indians off the reservation into the mainstream population and pretty much put the end to the Indian problem.
So 2019, you're saying that that's a reality?
It's a reality. It's a reality insofar as there are budget cuts that are impacting federal programs. Indian people have always been very low, on the policy agenda of any administration, including the current one. And when you hear the President of the United States trying to belittle a woman for her claim at being part Indian by calling her Pocahontas, that by itself, speaks volumes about how Indians are thought of, by the current administration.
And there's a lot of people that see no problem with that either. Am I correct?
Indian hating is an American tradition.
Good point.
Golly. Well, you know what? We could speak all day long with Dr. Martinez, and I don't know what his office hours are, but he could probably use some company during some of these long hours at ASU. So do you have a website? Is there something that we can kind of keep up with you?
Or even more so, what can individuals what's some reading or something that we can study up on for that, for the average citizen, the young person, someone old like me?
Well, I suppose two books come to mind. One is Custer Dyke Pearson's An Indian Manifesto by Vine Deloria Jr. He was a Standing Rock Sioux and activist intellectual. The other is Uneven Ground by David E. Wilkins and Shanina Lomawema, who was Vine Deloria's protege.
Yeah. Well, I think we're at a time now where these authors, they may have been from a generation ago, but there's still a lot to take away from some of the things that they expressed even way back then for a different generation. So we want to thank Dr. Martinez for coming out. And like you said, if you are a little late with the homework, he's going to cut you some slack. He's not going to terminate you like the government wants to do to us. So we want to thank Dr. Martinez. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with Renae Blackwater, wonderful powwow dancer. So once again, Dr. David Martinez, don't go nowhere. We're going to be right back. Welcome back to Downtime. I want to thank the Downtime Band for playing us back in, doing a good job. As usual, we want to thank our first guest who was just here, Dr. David Martinez. That was some wonderful conversation, very intelligent man. And I'm glad that he's over there at ASU, our alma mater, me and my brothers. So right about now, we're going to shift and we're going to bring in our talent for today's episode, a wonderful young lady. You might recognize her from some of the Native American recognition days that took place at Chase Field. And here she is. Let's give a round of applause for fancy shawl dancer, Renae Blackwater. That was fantastic, Renae. Fantastic job. Oh my God, that was so beautiful. So we're gonna take a short break and we're gonna have a little chit chat with Renae Blackwater. All right, the Downtime Band playing us back in once again. We want to welcome our talent for today's show, Renae Blackwater. She just did a fantastic performance, fancy shawl dancer. You might recognize her from a lot of events and powwows around the state and even around the country. So Renae, give us a little information about yourself. How old are you and where are you from?
So I am Oglala, Lakota, and Navajo. I am 20 years old, and I am basically from Mesa, Arizona.
Basically from Mesa, Arizona. A lot of people can say that nowadays. So the Gila River connection, it sounds like you got family in Blackwater. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I have my grandfather's side of the family is from Blackwater.
Okay, well, that's the one that we want to thank him definitely for all he did throughout the years. But actually, your dancing, man, it was just like mesmerizing. So give us an idea of what the audience was watching when you were right there performing.
Okay, so basically, I danced a woman's Northern Fancy Shawl dance. It's more of contemporary style of dancing with compared to the other styles of dancing. I compare it to like a butterfly, and there's multiple stories that where it's originated from. However, the one I tend to lean towards the most is that a woman lost her mate during a battle, and she's spreading her wings to go out and find him.
That's lovely. It's you know, watching it and then kind of hear you explaining it, you can see definitely the symbolism in it. So you are dressed like just exquisitely today, and give us an explanation about, you know, your attire, maybe what it means and how it feels to wear all this stuff and represent all them tribes.
Okay, so I have plumes on. I earned these when I graduated high school, and it means a lot to me. Feathers can hold deep meaning to like indigenous tribes, and this one happened to hold a lot of meaning to me since I accomplished something and I was rewarded that. And I compare it to like how when tribes will go into battle, if you know they won, they get an eagle feather. So that's what I tend to see as. My beadwork, I actually made myself. So
Really?
it holds a lot of meaning.
Now, I have a cousin who used to beadwork. When he was on vacation, he used to send me some stuff, but nothing as good as this. Oh my God. So the beadwork, and then kind of go into detail about what else we're looking at.
Okay, so and then the dentilium hair ties, they originally come from the northern tribes. So typically like the Aboriginal, so Cree and Canada. This is where like it originally comes from, and it takes a lot of work, a lot of detail, and a lot of patience. And then the shawl, it's more flashy because, like I said, fancy shawl is more contemporary. So you're trying to catch the eye with the bright colors and flashiness.
Okay. And then you go even down to the skirt and the shoes. It looks like you're all decked out.
Yeah, so my moccasins, my grandparents actually bought these for me. I believe when I became a teenager is when I first got them. The leggings also come with the beadwork, still in the making.
See, I wish I took as much pride into what I wore as like she does.
I take no pride.
But no, it's lovely. So you're saying to catch the eye. So when you're in these powwow settings, it sounds like there's judges. What's going on when you're out there dancing?
Yeah, so powwows, there are two types of powwows. There's more of like a traditional social powwow that have no competition. Everyone is just there to dance and sing and have a good time. And then there's contest powwows, and those are more common everywhere, like in the US and Canada. Basically, they have judges for each category you dance, and you get ranked from first, second, and third. Some powwows even have sixth place. So the whole point is, you know, footwork, how great your outfit attire is, and you just catch the judge's eye.
What were some of the things that you've earned during these competitions?
So I've placed at some powwows, multiple powwows. It can range from second, first, and third.
No, well, there's several young ladies, and then just the fact that you would get into one of these places, I think, says a lot about you.
Yeah.
So the other appearances, you've been at Chase Field. So how does that go down? It seems like every year I see you out in that ball field.
Yeah, so this coming year will actually be my 6th year performing.
6th year?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It started off performing in the lobby, and then the next year I just happened to get asked to be on the field.
In the lobby? They stuck you in the lobby?
Yeah.
And then so somebody just said, I want that girl on the field right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, well, that's fantastic. And you know what? The physical nature of your dance takes a lot of conditioning. I mean, me and my brother, I don't think that we could last one of them drum beats. But so what does it take to kind of get into shape to perform this way?
A lot of cardio, leg work, gotta do squats with the weights, arm work. Just depends on how heavy your shawl is or how heavy whatever you're holding is, but it takes a lot of workout to complete.
I could picture maybe a workout video, maybe like a P90X, but based on powwow. What do you think? That could be good. You've been outside of the state line, so what is it like to travel, and what are some of those places you've been to?
It's really exciting. I've spent a majority of the time in Arizona. For powwow purposes, I went to New Orleans years ago to perform at the New Orleans Jazz Festival.
New Orleans, a place that me and my brother are familiar with.
We're no longer allowed to go back to New Orleans.
Well, we can go to Royale Street, but Bourbon Street is off limits for us. No, but so you were representing for all the Native people in that very diverse city of New Orleans. How did that feel?
It was a lot. I really enjoyed it.
Really?
I would love to go back again.
Okay, awesome. Well, we just really appreciate you coming out here and your folks for letting you not only entertain us, but man, just to kind of give us a good idea of what it takes to be a fancy shawl dancer. So any social media, if people want to check out your videos, how does that work?
Yeah, so I have both Instagram and Facebook. My Facebook is just Renae Blackwater. And my Instagram, you can also look Renae Blackwater on that.
Okay, R-E-N-E?
It's R-E-N-A-E.
N-A-E. I've seen E-N-E, E-N-E-E, E-N-A-E.
Yeah.
So get the right one for Renae Blackwater. We want to thank her for coming out and doing that wonderful performance. And it was just a fantastic show. Once again, we want to thank all of our guests, Dr. David Martinez, the Downtime Band, of course, my co-host, Mr. Claude Jackson. One more time for Renae Blackwater. And thank you very much, Gila River. We'll see you guys next time.